What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Ox here with another video. If you're new to the channel, we do upload Pokemon Go content mostly related to PvP, so please consider subscribing to the channel if that is of interest to you. And if you're a returning subscriber like Ian Taggart, thank you for the support. In today's video, we are taking a look at a preview of some Season 7 battles. As you can see, I have assembled 5 teams for this video. Now, these teams do vary both in terms of budget as well as performance. So I've labeled these teams according to what I define as accessibility. What I mean by this is 5 out of 5 would mean that a team is accessible to most players. 1 out of 5 would mean that it is very difficult to build, especially for newer players. Now, these teams are not the best teams by any means. The teams I'm showcasing in this video are basically just some options for Season 7 at various levels of skill as well as budget. They will have different results in terms of performance, with the team at the bottom, Azumarill, Marowak, Meganium, performing the best in my opinion. So the first team, for example, Primeape, Hypno, and Altaria, I do have this team listed as very accessible to players. Main reason for this is that 2 of these Pokemon, Primeape and Hypno, have been around for quite some time, but they're also available during the current Kanto event. Altaria is probably the most difficult of these Pokemon to build. However, it does spawn quite often outside of events, so it is something that I feel most players can build, but it does require 400 candy, so it's not the easiest. With that said, of these 3 Pokemon, I would say Altaria is the one you'd want to replace if you had to. It does make this backline double weak to not only charm users but also Azumarill, which could be a problem. Some potential substitutes for it then could be something like a Charmer, Clefable, or Wigglytuff. I think would perform very well. 2 Pokemon that are also available during this current Kanto event. So the last team, you can see I have it ranked 1 out of 5. Now the reason for this is because I find this to be the most difficult team to build of the 5 I've shown here. The reason for this is because Alolan Marowak does require Shadow Bone. I mean, it doesn't require it, but it is preferred, and that is a legacy move which is very difficult to get hold of. Meganium also requires Frenzy Plant. Azumarill, the main problem here is that it requires being powered up close to level 40. So for somebody just starting PvP or new to the game, that's almost impossible to get a hold of. So definitely not an easy team to build for beginners at all. However, if you are a veteran at this game, definitely a team that performs very well and has been proven to work in the past. So we'll take a look at all these Pokemon and these teams as we go through the video with some in-battle examples. If you guys enjoy this type of content, please make sure you smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And without any further ado, let's jump into the first battle right now. Alright, so let me first give a big shout out to Mr. Sir Stevens for these battles right here. First team we're going to showcase is Hypno, Primeape, and Altaria. So you could tell right away that this backline is very weak to charm users and Azumarill in general. So what you're going to want to do is use one of them as a safe switch to draw that counter. I choose to go with Altaria here, and you may notice that I tried to catch the Hydro Cannon. Opponent didn't throw. They also swapped out without throwing any energy at the Altaria, so that's good for me, but at the same time they have a lot of energy stored in the back. So comes in with Umbreon here. This isn't a hard counter to Altaria by any means, but it is a check, so I'm happy to see this. What this has me thinking in the moment is that 1, they probably don't have a better answer for Altaria in the back than this, and 2, I might want to preserve the Altaria as a result of that, not only for what's potentially in the back, but also for the Swampert. So I might decide to swap out here into either the Hypno or the Primeape. I think in this situation, I might actually switch on to Hypno just because it has a move ready by now. So that is what I do. And I'm going to throw this Thunder Punch. Now Thunder Punch isn't going to knock out the Umbreon, so let's see if the shield comes up. It does not. You can see it barely does anything, just tickling the Umbreon there. Shadow Swampert comes in. I'm going to let this first Hydro Cannon go through here. And letting the Swampert throw its energy here is probably pretty good. And then I think I'm going to come in with Primeape. You can make the arguments come with either. Actually, I might come in with the Altaria here. It looks far down. Either one is fine, actually. I do choose to come with Primeape, and I'm able to farm down before they get to a Hydro Cannon that's really good. We see a Skarmory come in, so this is very bad for us because Skarmory has a very good matchup here. We do have 2 shields, so because Primeape is so spammy, and with that very interesting moveset now of Ice Punch and Night Slash, it is pretty good. Would have been broken if it kept Weather Ball, however, Ice Punch is still pretty decent. You can see here I swap out to Skarmory because I swap out to Altaria, I should say, because I want the Skarmory to dump all of its energy onto the Altaria. At this point, I need the Primeape for this Umbreon as well. The Altaria was kind of useless to me, so Primeape coming in here, going to use both shields, and what I'm hoping I could do here is actually farm down this Umbreon with enough energy to throw out this Skarmory when it comes back in. It should be close to drying energy because it did throw at the Altaria. We get to the Night Slash, and we're going to be able to take this game right here. So that's the first example with this team. You could see not too bad. Didn't see an Azumarill that time though. Let's check out the second battle, Galvantula lead. This is a pretty bad lead for Hypno. It's not the worst lead, but it is pretty bad. Seeing this type of lag here is also bad. And we're gonna have to shield up this lunge right here. Now when we shield up the lunge, it's very likely that they're going to shield as well. We don't have Fire Punch here, but if we did, it would pretty much knock out the Galvantula, so they're definitely going to shield. And if I decide to use both shields, you're gonna have to shield pretty much anything I throw regardless. So you can see we do CMP tie here. Now I'm going to shield up again, I would imagine, and then throw the Thunder Punch once more. It was CMP, so I know it's going to go through on the Galvantula. And they're going to have to shield this if they want to win. Now at this point, I know I'm going to lose CMP tie, so what I decide to do is actually swap out into Altaria and farm down this Galvantula before it realizes, losing all of its energy while keeping my own. The problem with this is that I switch lock myself now into a horrible matchup, and doing this with Altaria is very risky because of how easily it gets countered by a lot of Pokemon, especially Azumarill. There's so many of them, so it's a very risky play. However, you can see here, it is what I did. Thankfully, they have Play Rough, which is actually a bit better for me because I am going to get off a bit more damage here with these Sky attacks. And remember, I do have the Thunder Punch stored on the Hypno because I swapped out, right? So that's going to help out here in this particular match because Primeape has a really bad match too. However, if I could get rid of this Azumarill here, going to throw the Thunder Punch. Could have probably threw the Shadow Ball to be honest, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Should be able to farm down. They swap out into Ferrothorn. Gonna come in with the Primeape here. Now Primeape is very glassy, and you're gonna see how glassy it is from this Power Whip right here. Almost knocks it out. Am I able to still win this matchup in the Zero Shields? Gonna throw the Night Slash here. You can see I'm not running any fighting type move or the charge move, but that's totally fine. We're able to farm down there. And this is actually better because it gives the Azumarill less farm. Now I come in with the Hypno, one Confusion is left to win. Alright, so this next team right here is Swampert, Abomasnow, and Alolan Ninetales. Now these Pokemon aren't as easily accessible, but if you've been playing recently, there have been some events with all three of these Pokemon included. So most people I feel should have them. Of course, Swampert does require the Legacy move. You can see we had a pretty good lead here, so the opponent swaps out into Azumarill. I'm going to go for the Sludge Wave. Now Sludge Wave is going to be doing super effective damage. If this goes through, I'm going to swap out regardless. Actually, even if they shielded, I was going to swap out into the Abomasnow anyways. But because it goes through, it kind of changes the way I'm going to play this out. So I decide now that I'm probably going to overfarm quite a bit. And you can see they're already at 2 moves. I know I could survive this, so I'm going to let it go through. However, letting this go through gives the opponent the opportunity, if they want, to take back switch if they want to go down 2 shields, which if that's something they want to do, I'm okay with it, for the main reason that I have 2 counters for Galvantula in both Alolan Ninetales and Swampert. Now Swampert isn't a hard counter, but it is a counter for Galvantula for sure, and because of this I'm actually going to shield up with the Azumarill throws here and commit to a straight farm down here because I know they want to maintain switch, so they're not going to swap out right after giving up 2 shields. Farm down completely, I have energy, they bring in Ferrothorn here, which isn't exactly what I wanted to see, but thankfully we have a shield still, we have a lot of energy. Hydro Cannons, they kind of tickle the Ferrothorn, but they still do add up here, and it's also very spammy. So let's see how we're going to play this out. I'm going to get to one more Hydro Cannon here. Am I going to shield this up or let it go down? I think at this point I have to let it go down. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. Power Whip KOs, come in with the Ninetales here. We are running Charm. So we're not going to be spamming moves, but we're doing decent damage to most Pokemon with Charm here. You can see in this particular situation we're not. Galvantula comes back in. I'm going to overfarm just before they get to a lunge, and I'm going to throw this Weather Ball. Now this is enough to KO. Now I doubt that they would throw lunge. They'd probably decide to throw a Discharge there, and it comes down to whether or not we will survive this move here. From the Ferrothorn, we do, and 1 Charm is going to be enough to knock out the Ferrothorn there. So we take that game. Next matchup, we got Swampert into Tropius. This is a horrible lead. Are they running Razor Leaf? I didn't even wait to see. I just swapped out immediately into Ninetales. Doesn't matter even if they are running Razor Leaf or Air Slash, you have to switch out immediately. You can see here we get met by a Galarian Stunfisk. So this is good. You definitely want to draw this out because it is going to have a pretty good matchup against the Abomasnow as well. And then the Swampert, of course, could come in here and have a pretty good match. Now, it's very important that I got that extra Charm through, because what that makes me realize at this point is that I could probably get to this next Weather Ball at the same time that they get to the Rock Slide, only because I got in that extra charm. If I did not, I'd have to let this go through, because you could see after I throw this, it should be a CMP tie here. It is. So if I didn't get in that extra charm, I wouldn't have been able to get to that Weather Ball before the Rock Slide came through, and I wouldn't have been able to get that shield as a result. So I decided to go into the one shield scenario because I feel that Abomasnow is going to have a better opportunity to win in that situation, as opposed to giving this Tropius 2 shields to play with. So Azumarill comes in. I guess they could have came in with Tropius as well. However, they're coming in with the Azumarill here, and it's going to take some damage. I'm going for the Hydro Cannon here. And at this point, I think we're going to let this go because I know that Abomasnow needs this shield for the Tropius. I swap out to get a bit of an energy lead, and I'm actually able to farm down there, which is very good for me. Now, they did save the Stunfisk, which could be a problem for me. Tropius comes back in, and it is running Air Slash, so this is not too great. I'm going to throw the Weather Ball, gets the final shield, and I'm hoping to get to the next one. We do. This probably will not be enough to KO. Let's see. No, just short, but they swap out into Stunfisk here. Now I have to shield up this Rock Slide, and if they have an Aerial Ace ready on the Tropius, it's going to be very difficult. I might have to consider swapping into the Swampert to try and catch the move. Very difficult situation here. I had to throw there before the Rock Slide came through. Tropius has the move ready. I tried swapping to Swampert, wasn't quick enough. Aerial Ace comes through. We just barely hang on to survive, take that win against a very difficult lead. So this next team here, we got Venusaur, Umbreon, and this is actually Ninetales. In the preview, I showed Marowak. I'm going to show two options here for those who do not have Marowak. I think Ninetales is a decent replacement. This is the Kanto Ninetales. The thing I like about this team is that Venusaur and Umbreon work pretty well together. I think something like Bastionon or Stunfisk actually is also a decent option to pair with these Pokemon, but that's getting way too expensive. You can see the opponent actually brings the Oxus into my Umbreon, which is definitely not a good answer. This gets me thinking that they really don't have an answer for my Umbreon in particular. But because they actually threw a move at my Umbreon first before switching into the Deoxys, it does make the matchup a bit more playable for them. And you can see right here, I'm going to have to shield this up, and then I should be throwing the Foul Play as soon as I get to it, but I think I made a mistake here and actually decided to overcharge it. See, this is a huge mistake, because what happens here is I force myself to burn my second shield instead of forcing them to burn theirs first. So if I threw the Foul Play immediately, they'd either have to let it go down or shield if they wanted to get off that move. Instead, I let them get off that move for free. I have to burn my shield, and now they don't have to shield. So I completely put the game into their own favor. So not a good play there. Definitely a mistake. We see a Politoed come in. This is quite the shiny flex right here. And I'm going to just spam these Foul Plays. I know they have to get rid of me at some point with a Weather Ball because they're not going to be able to farm down here. So here comes the Weather Ball. Now, the main issue is shields are down, and I know that he's probably trying to go for a Blizzard here. So I come in with the Venusaur, totally expecting the Blizzard. Even if it's Earthquake though, it's going to hurt anyways, right? Because of the poison typing. So this isn't a good situation. Blizzard one-shots the Venusaur. Ninetales comes in. We're down a shield here. Have to get off this Weather Ball to burn the last shield. Now you can see I'm running the Shadow here. The only reason I'm using the Shadow is because I actually don't have a regular variant. However, I think both could work. For this particular situation, however, it might be important to have the Shadow though, just because of that extra damage since we were down a shield. So I'm going to go for a Weather Ball here. I think the regular one would be able to win this anyways, but I'm not sure if it'd be able to farm down the Politoed after without being Shadow. It would be very close. Maybe it could have, but you could see right there we do take that win. So pretty impressive win there. We got Venusaur into Mew. So Mew is a pretty risky lead, because it could be running Surf Wild Charge, which would be very good. Could be running Flame Charge Wild Charge, which would be very bad. So the opponent swaps out. That makes me think they do not have Flame Charge. And I'm going to come in with the Alolan Marowak here. So see, AWAC is a very nice option in this meta especially. And it's a shame that Shadow Bone is Legacy because a lot of players don't have access to it, which is pretty much what makes Marowak so good. I think it is definitely an upgrade from Shadow Bone, but it is what it is. Gonna definitely have to shield up here because don't want to lose this energy. Commit to the straight farm down, and let's see what the opponent's gonna choose to come back in with. Now that Mew might have a move ready as well. They come into Scrafty as well. So actually this is the Asian Milkman line, as you can see. And we're gonna go for the Shadow Bone here, hoping for the defense drop, don't get it. And I think I'm going to build up for Shadow Ball and then swap out into Venusaur. I do. Gonna get off this Frenzy Plant before they throw a move. This is really good, likely going to get a shield. And Venusaur is pretty safe to bring in here, of course, because both Scrafty and Mew don't have the best matchups against it. We call the Power Up Punch bait there. And now Foul Play will KO, so I'm going to get to this Frenzy Plant again. This is going to force the final shield at this point, so things are going very well for us. We do get the final shield. At this point, I could just let this go down pretty much. Umbreon is going to wall the Mew, and the Scrafty is low enough to the point now where I could take care of it. But remember, we have the Shadow Ball ready. I left with this stored. This is going to do a lot of damage to the Scrafty right here. Mew comes back in. Here comes the Umbreon. This is pretty much hard counter city at this point, so not the best example. However, you can see this team performs extremely well when it is aligned properly. So I like this team a lot. I think this is actually a really strong team and probably one of the favorite teams I featured in this particular video. However, I know it's not accessible to everyone. Venusaur and Umbreon definitely are because of the Kanto event. So there's a lot of Eevees and Bulbasaurs. Marowak isn't, but I think Ninetales also in the Kanto event is a pretty good replacement. Next team here, you may recognize this team. This is Pelipper, Stunfisk Core, and the team I used to rank 10 except with Defense Deoxys in place of Toxicroak. Now the Toxicroak variant is a team I saw Wild Susan Boyle run, and that's where I got the inspiration for the line that got me to rank 10. However, I feel that Deoxys is a huge upgrade to Toxicroak, but at the same time, a lot of you do not have access to Defense Deoxys. You always ask me a substitute, so I'm showcasing a potential substitute here in Toxicroak. You can see we had a pretty bad lead there in Bastion. I bring in Toxicroak here, operating as the safe swap, and Stone Edge comes through. I shield that up. Opponent comes in with Victory Bell, so I'm going to have to spam these Mud Bombs here. It's a pretty good situation for me to be in. Going to throw this first Mud Bomb, probably going to get a shield. I'm guessing this is a Grass Hole line at this point. And second Mud Bomb is going to come through here. If they shield, they could probably farm me down before I get to another one, but they actually let it go through. So they give up switch advantage at this point. They come in with Defense Deoxys. So this isn't the double grass, however, it is a very popular variant as well. We do manage to get to the Sludge Bomb and they let it go through. Probably thought that was going to be only a Mud Bomb here. Do not blame them for that. And now we're going to come in with the Pelipper. I have Weather Ball ready. The reason I come with Pelipper here is because I know that Stunfisk has a very positive match against both Bastion and the Deoxys. So you can see Bastion comes in here. At this point, you want to shield up the Flamethrower because that is the move that's going to be doing the most damage to Stunfisk. Overfarm quite a bit here. Pretty much at 100 energy and then throw the Earthquake. This is overkill on the Bastion and will be close enough to get to another Earthquake by the time this Deoxys comes back in. We have so much health, there's nothing it can do here. There's pretty much the only move that threatens Galarian Stunfisk from Deoxys is the counter damage, right? So they can't really spam any charge moves. We take that game. So let's move into the next matchup. We got Pelipper into Alolan Ninetales. This is a pretty difficult matchup, to be honest. And here is where you could see having Defense Deoxys is so much better for this team because it operates as a very good safe swap, right? Toxicroak, very good, but not the best safe swap. Does have some good coverage against the Azumarill even still, but against a lead like this, very difficult. So we have to stay in here with the Pelipper and pretty much bait the Hurricane. At this point, I don't actually build up to the Hurricane. I'm going to go for the Weather Ball. I did use both shields here. Your only play really is to try and catch onto Stunfisk, but that's still very hard and I wouldn't recommend that. So we did try that. Politoed comes in, they didn't throw their energy, this is a very tough spot to be in. I'm going to go for this Earthquake, which will do a lot of damage. However, we're going to get hit hard by these Weather Balls and they're going to be coming in at rapid succession here. So 2 of these should be enough to take out the Stunfisk. Politoed is also another very strong Pokemon that I would recommend. And actually, because of Poliwag being in the Kanto event, that is a Pokemon that a lot of you should consider for a lot of these teams as a potential substitute even. Politoed, didn't think about that, but a very good option. Coming here with Toxicroak, I pretty much need to farm down, and they do get to a Weather Ball, which is going to hurt. And now they're going to actually swap out to Pelipper to get a bit of an energy lead here in order to get to this Weather Ball because I felt that was what I needed to do to beat this Ninetales, which I assume has a move ready. Unfortunately, that is not enough to KO. You can see they did have the move ready, so that was my play there. To win CMP tie, I had to get a bit of an energy lead there to actually fill up the charge move meter. Deoxys comes in, so this is pretty much GG's at this point. Nothing I can do, I'm way too low in health. And just a situation where it kind of showcases how this team sort of struggles when you don't have alignment, because Toxicroak and Stunfisk, not the best safe swaps. They can perform decently, but it really depends on what the opponent has in the back, right? And with that particular lead, Toxicroak isn't a good safe swap there, and Stunfisk being the only counter, really very difficult teams to come back from. So next team is going to be the 2416 Rod team. This is a team that I saw from a very skilled Japanese player showcasing. I used it myself after. Very, very strong, got me above 3000 elo. And you can see Marowak lead here into the Alolan Ninetales, very good. Opponent swaps out into Deoxys. So Deoxys isn't the best counter, of course, for Marowak. I'm going to go for the Shadow Bone here. This tells me immediately that they do not have a better counter for Marowak, most likely. Or perhaps they do and they're just saving it, right? That makes more sense actually. So I'm going to swap out into Meganium here. I need that Marowak for the Alolan Ninetales, of course. At this point, I'm going to commit to a straight farm now because I know that neither of these charges are going to be enough to take me out before I farm this thing down completely. Actually able to do that before it gets to another move here. And we have a Frenzy Plant ready for whatever comes in. We're down a shield, but we're definitely going to get some back because Frenzy Plant just hits everything so hard. So I'm going to throw the Frenzy Plant right here. First one goes through, actually able to get to the second one here before they get to the Weather Ball. This is going to get a shield for sure. And I would expect them to farm up a bit more and then throw. Yeah, so pretty good timing right there. Going to throw the Weather Ball at me. This is going to KO. I will come back in with the Marowak. No moves are really going to threaten here, but I throw the Bone Club immediately just to ensure that I don't take any damage unless they want to shield, and they choose not to. So Politoed comes in here. Now they did drop the Meganium, which is very good. However, I build up to a Shadow Bone, bank that energy, and then I bring in a Azumarill here. Now if they have Earthquake, this is a bit problematic, but because they are throwing the Weather Ball, I know that they don't have Earthquake. They also used Blizzard in a previous matchup, so kind of cheating in a sense knowing that they don't have Earthquake. Earthquake would have made this a bit more problematic, but because I have a shield as well as having the Shadow Bone stored on the Marowak, this should be a pretty straightforward win regardless. You can see, even if this were to knock us out, say it was an Earthquake, I just come in after with the Marowak, still have the shield saved, and just throw the Shadow Bone. We're going to take that game. So pick up a nice win there. I think this is the best team of the 5 I've showed. Definitely the hardest one to build, however, it's very, very strong. You can see, look at this lead right here. This is not the best lead in the world. It's actually pretty rough. Haunter is going to absolutely shred, so I tried to catch the Shadow Punch. Don't expect them to build the Shadow Ball. Gonna shield this though in case it's a Sludge Bomb, but against Marowak, they could just go straight Shadow Punch and win that game. So I expect them to throw immediately. They did not. They bring in their own Azumarill here. So I know they have some energy stored on the Haunter. That's not good. They also have a shield advantage, so this is not good as well. The only way that I can win this here is if I manage to get some farm on this Meganium, maybe get an energy lead, but they actually have Hydro Pump. So now things change a little bit because I realize at this point I'm probably going to end up winning Switch advantage. Now winning Switch isn't the greatest thing, and if I have this Azumarill too low, I don't want to get farmed down by the Haunter, right? So they actually did shield, which I think might have been a mistake on their part. So the reason I think it's a mistake is because I am going to get to the move, but they make a great swap here, which forces me not to throw this energy, and they get to keep that final shield. But again, they did use one on that Azumarill. I come in now with the Marowak, I have energy stored. Because they threw there, I'm actually going to get the final shield here, and that Fire Spin will go through if I shield this. So I know by shielding this, the Haunter will get knocked out. And now at this point, there's an Azumarill. Let's see what else is in the back. Of course, things aren't looking too good for Meganium. I'm actually going to bank that Shadow Bone and then swap out into Meganium, knowing that I can tank an Ice Beam here. And I'm hoping to be able to farm down here, if not have a move ready. It's a Registeel, so you love to see it. Going to go for the Earthquake here. This is a very good spot to be in. Only way I can really lose this is if that Azumarill has a move ready and somehow manages to get locked into my Alolan Marowak. Like for example, look, I missed Bubbles here, and I think that actually cost me the KO here. So let's assume the Registeel knocked me out here, and then it somehow was able to knock the Marowak, which obviously it isn't able to do. Actually, Azumarill got knocked out. I didn't realize that, so forget what I said. So those were the battles with 5 teams for Season 7. Of course, these teams vary in terms of performance, vary in terms of cost, but I think they're all potential options to consider. None of these teams are perfect. All of them have their weaknesses, of course. There are definitely substitutes for all of these teams. Every Pokemon on this team has a substitute for sure, and they all perform to varying degrees of success. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.